And with that, Leviatán get their win on their map pick of Pearl. They walk away with a 13-11 victory. What a great game that was. Of course, welcome back, Golden Boy, alongside Brendan Mimi, as we look to discuss that amazing first map between these two very game teams here. Mimi, this was honestly, like, you couldn't have asked for a better way to kind of, like, I made the joke before, but wake everyone up on a Monday. Yeah,
every one of these NRG games on Pearl thus far has been an absolute banger. Last time it was versus Loud, and now here versus Leviatán. This was an awesome game, I think, in particular, because it was one of the few times we've gotten to see this kind of new meta comp of the double controller play up against each other. And I thought both sides did a great job of playing to their respective composition strengths, which meant it was so often coming down to these post-plant retakes time after time, and Leviatán just edged out a little bit in being able to win those in the second half.
Yeah, but this round was a difference maker. Round 16, where they ended up winning the Eco round. It started off pretty rough, honestly. The counter-stratting of NRG was fantastic in terms of punishing Takalea with the initiations, but this is the one that got them back into the game and into the action. Leviatán are a team, you can never count them out, even when they're on that weaker weaponry. They will find an idea and a way forwards to make sure that they edge it back as well if they end up losing a couple of those gun rounds. And like you said, Mimi, it was the tail end of these post-plant situations that they were just finding the edge. A cool idea, making sure they were prioritizing as well. Really good ultimates to cycle in these rounds as well. You can see the Viper's Pit, you know, paying off there as well. Covering, trading for them as well when these rounds really get down to these final moments and they're just trading and trying to get the diffusers off. And that was the thing that carried it forwards for Leviatán.
Yeah, the post plans were absolutely fantastic out of this squad. And for NRG, initially it seemed like the game plan was solid. They wanted to try and use this nade to deny plant, go for these fast retakes. That wasn't really working out with how deep Taco was diving. Sure, he was being shut down at times, but he was getting enough space that it meant it was often 4v5 or 5v5 retakes, which Leviatán just had such good trading and utility to win out. And on top of that, despite the fact that it was a really close scoreline, Leviatán was 12-2 in the gun rounds. It was mostly like the pistol rounds, the bonus conversion that NRG managed to pull out that kept that game so close.
Yeah, now a question for you guys, though, real fast, is there was a little bit of a change of the composition style, right? You had the Jet versus the Raze. Do you feel like the Raze was okay? Do you feel like artists got to show us more with that, or do you think there's more to come?
It was good, but I think as well, we saw, honestly, it was a big IGL moment where both of these teams were calling their minds, man.
That's true.
I mean, it was cases where King, I think, was getting a great grasp in terms of where Artis was playing, making sure that they consistently hit sites as well, where Artis wasn't playing, so he couldn't use his util to deny the plant from going down in the first place, which was a massive key to victory in the tail end of it, and it's the reason why Leviatán managed to carry it away.
Yeah, and that's after, I think, Finesse started with some better calls. They managed to convert that bonus round. Really good job of playing the map and trapping Leviatán in when they played those slower mid rounds. And those slower mid rounds is what got the better of them on this map at lock-in. But here they focused a lot more on improving these preset executes, particularly towards B, with this composition that they were playing. And that just worked so well for them that NRG never found a solution. That now puts them in a pretty tough spot.
Yeah, it's very clear. Like, this LEV team, they shoot for each other. They constantly cover one another. The individual skill is out of this world. That actually brings us to, before we get into map 2, let's actually go ahead and check out our aim lab shoot around and talk more about Shy from Leviatán, because, again, you know, another player that I think, you know, goes, it's safe to say, right, that every single one of the players on Leviatán have this upset potential, have this shutdown potential. Shy, obviously, I felt like he was a little quiet at times and had his moments.
He was a cog in the machine, I would say.
For sure.
In terms of this as well, because the difference maker that we've kept alluding to for Leviatán was cleaning up the post plans, but that came down to the trading, making sure that they took really good fights, and if somebody ended up falling, there was immediately another player, another teammate there to respond in kind. And that's what's really going to be the difference maker against top teams like NRG, like Leviatán, the thing that's going to be in a microcosm, the difference maker.
Yeah, it was this guy and his new role and the new player in Mazzino that were holding down the fort in those late rounds with the Astra utility and the Killjoy utility, respectively, that was closing out these situations for Leviatán.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think as well, I'm really interested to see as well, moving forwards into this series, which direction it's going to go back and forth. Because when I saw Pearl being picked, I was a bit of a doubter, because I thought, okay, you picked Pearl into NRG, one of their best maps.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a little bit interesting. Could have easily gone the other way, given how close it was with the 13-11.
Sure.
You know, listen, if a couple of those eco rounds didn't get won by Leviatán, we might have been seeing a very different scoreline, different result here with NRG leading. So a bit risky there. But the map pool just gets even weirder as we get deeper as well, because Lotus is being that next map.
Yeah, and as we continue into the series, I'm looking a lot at Finesse and the way that he can adapt against King, going back to the kind of conversation around those two IGLs. Because in this game, it was a good early idea, but I felt like they were very slow to adapt. We didn't see them like kind of having reflanks against these post-plant setups. We didn't see them going for the faster flood retakes, even when they could get those punishes onto Taco.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping going into Lotus, they can really step up in that adaptation, because this is a map where I don't think they're really going to know what to expect against this Leviatán squad.
Yeah, another little fascinating bit from that as well, and you know, we can always talk about, you know, some of these players on this team, like Crashies, for example. Even though you look at the, you know, the scoreboard and you see Crashies and you're like, okay, you know, maybe didn't have like the craziest game, but that honestly wasn't his job. His job was to really set up his team with his utility, like we saw, you know, in that round where they had that Molly on Heaven. It was like all these like little set things that they were doing here, and Crashies, you know, he can get to the kills.
He's so consistent. I mean, you look at these numbers that he's putting up at every single major event as well. That's what we pulled this from. Copenhagen into Champs into Lock-in as well, the most recent 3. And these numbers as well, I'll just point your eyes as well. Mainly to me, the thing that draws me is the clutch percentage, because he's always consistent in that regard as well, most events. Very rare to find a player the caliber of Crashies is able to put up that consistency when he's in those high pressure scenarios, but the guy pulls it off almost every single time.
And we're seeing that consistency from him at Lock-in, despite the fact that he's kind of having to try some new things now. He's occasionally picking up the Killjoy for this team, like we saw back on Pearl, moving away from just kind of being the full-time Sova player and showing a lot more of his flexibility, which I think has been the direction of NRG, not just for this guy individually, but for the team as a whole.
Another fascinating aspect of that matchup, because Doug and Bala were mentioning it a few times, was the economy and how NRG always gave themselves, Mimi, an opportunity to have guns going into the rounds, which I thought was quite fascinating.
I wanted to talk about that. I think in most maps, you should be buying half armor at this point. Fnatic was obviously the team who I think most people kind of resonated with when they were playing half armor at Lock-in, but it actually started way back at when, with an old version of NRG was the first time I saw it, because it really does give you such strength in the economy. NRG was like, it was last year. NRG was never, or in this matchup, excuse me, Leviatán was never really being reset on the economy, right? Because of that half armor, or brains backwards. It's NRG then, it's NRG now as well. They were the ones who were going into the half armor, but even though they were struggling on some of those gun rounds, they always had something to keep those rounds so close, which I think was a part of the reason why they were able to stay in that game. And I want to see more teams doing it, because it's a sound strat. Yeah,
I wasn't really counting the amount of like buy rounds that they had in this map in particular, but I know statistically when Fnatic were trying that, I think it netted them about like 6% extra gun rounds, I think.
Something like that.
It was like something very, very minor, which seems like absolutely nothing at all in the grand scheme of things, but it actually is quite big. It amounts to like an extra buy round in terms of a half, which can make all the difference on this kind of level when you have 2 evenly matched teams like that.
Also, at this level of play, it's unlikely that it's going to be super common that you're getting a difference between having that line armor or not. A lot of players are running the Vandal. Even players who are running the Phantom, a lot of your engagements will be at closer range, where you're going to die to that anyway. So there is the trade-off where if there's chip damage going in or a headshot from a Phantom, you can die a little bit more easily. But I think the economic help that it gives you does justify teams running it.
Well, that puts to rest Pearl and what we saw there. But still, don't worry, folks. A lot more to come, because we have Lotus on the horizon here. 13-11 score for Leviatán is going to put them 1-0 in the lead. But as Brent had mentioned before, we're going to Lotus. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little fun. I'm ready for it.
Interesting often feels like the word of the day when you're running like any sort of desk or casting or anything, because I feel like it's just used as our filler. But this actually is quite intriguing.
It is.
Because Lotus is a map. Yeah, new version of it. I pulled out the dictionary for it. But the NRG comp in the past, they had a certain look at it as well, which a lot of teams are opting into, which is kind of like the double controller with the Omen. That's what they ran against Giants, and they ended up losing that map against Giants when they played it at Lock-in. And I wonder what kind of adaptations they're going to make off of that. What are they going to be learning from that moment? Because one of the things that really ruined them were the fast executes from the faster comp that Giants ended up running. And so the question now lies into what is the comp that Leviatán are going to be playing? Are they going to play something slower in terms of the double controller, where it's a bit less bursty? Or are they going to be opting into those more burst-oriented compositions? And Artis is going to raise. Okay.
Yeah, that's already a change. It was a no duelist composition. I believe Artis was on the Killjoy last time they played this. They were rocking with the Sova as well. Was a fan of it, so glad to see a new idea. This doesn't really tell us much of what direction Leviatán is going to go. Killjoy, Omen, both mainstays on this map.
But I think Artist moving over to this race does say that they have recognized a bit of a weakness with their composition.
Yes.
The no duelist, I think, was a little bit less, you had a less oomph when it comes to a lot of those site executes. And I think this is them seeking to rectify it a little bit and give them a bit more power on the defense side when they're just trying to really play hard with like some early nade conditioning as well, especially off of FNS now playing this breach as well.
A lot of teams have actually strayed away from this breach thus far. I think generally going for either that kind of loud style double controller comp, or some teams who are more focused on taking that space, sometimes running maybe a double duelist. There's been a lot of different ideas, and teams are still figuring this out. But I would imagine Crashies will lock in a second initiator, and I wonder what that's going to be. I'd say Sky is good, but last time it was the Sova.
Was it Sova?
Yeah, it was a weird one. And okay, Taco goes into the Jet on this one, so this seems pretty comfortable for Leviatán. You get your double controller, you get Nazwar on his initiator role, as well as Taco on that Jet.
And only the one smokes as well being around here for NRG, and it is going to be that second controller as well, or the second initiator. I think this is super important to have a Sky in this combo. Any sort of initiator that's able to actually re-clear space on Lotus is a priority. That's why you're seeing so much Sky being played.
Yeah, having both the Raze and this Omen and the Breach is going to be really nice for A lobby control. You have both Paranoia and Stun to take that space. You have a nade to push people off that line early.
TP
a very
as well.
pivotal piece of the map that we're going to see these teams fighting for a lot, and I think NRG's well set up for it.
All right, folks. Well, let's go ahead and dive into map 2. Oh, I see you beautiful people. Make some noise as we get ready for this one and send it over to Doug and Ball.
Thank you, GB. There's a lot to talk about here. Already on Lotus, as much as we nerd out about the little things, now we get to talk about the differences in compositions. You've got double initiator on one side, double controller on the other. Given the fact that Lotus is 3 maps and the meta's still developing, do you favor a specific approach?
Yeah, actually, I'm very surprised to see NRG drop the double controller entirely, because I felt like, especially with new maps, that was kind of the thing that they were pioneering. And picking up Harbor Viper, for example, on Pearl, I kind of expected them to go for like a similar loud comp on this map. So I maybe favor them because they have the Breach and the Raze. I really like that on this map. That is kind of what led to their demise against Giants at Lock-In on their only played map of Lotus.
NRG on attack and an early fight for A main. Flash used, fault line as well.
Remember the difficulty that some of the teams we've seen on this map so far have had taking A main. It's NRG right there, taking full advantage immediately.
It is tough sledding to take that space, man. And as you have so much utility traded back and forth, there's so much space to deal with as well. But so far, they've been successful, or at least they've gotten halfway.
This is Smoke. Ooh. Trailblazer actually pushes Artist forward, and he's in trouble.
All of NRG might be in trouble here. As Taco gets 3. I mean, I just mentioned, like, they got most of the way there, but they hadn't really gotten past the hard part.
Yeah. Opening up that door, Mizzino instantly smokes. Artist the only one who gets through with the dog from Crashies, and they're just swinging through a Viper wall there. Taco Leah still sticking on this Jet. You can see the reason, and I think as well, NRG swinging through that wall kind of mistimed as well. You want multiple people going in at the same time. It's really difficult when that door is already open, though.
Yep.
Because you kind of want to swing to peek that door, and that makes it so that you can't line up together. You have to go one by one.
Early flash, early smoke. The panel was cleared right off the bat, too. Oh, so there's threat of a flank, and then there's also threat of Taco just spamming smokes and getting kills.
Scary sign here.
Turret providing some cover. Shy falls. The Taco's still close. The nade's not going to hit, and he's in a great spot to land, too, with the Marshall.
Remaining.
Just teeing off on NRG.
That is not a good sign after what we just saw on Pearl. Taco Leah having a slightly rougher game. For him to start heating up immediately on both the pistol and the anti-eco. And remember, what we saw on Pearl was struggles on pistol from Leviatán, even though we know them as a good pistol round team. And there it is.
Yeah, I think they did that for us.
Yep. 1,000, I was right. By 32 days, over 1,000 teams.
Across 3 rosters, too. I mean, we joke, but the synergy that you have when you've played with someone that long, you think the way they think, you know what they're going to do without having to come. Yeah, that's invaluable.
T1, Optic, and now this one, NRG. Super cool.
Quick pace out from Leviatán towards C. Mound already controlled. And this is a slightly different flavor than we've seen previously. You think about it, it was Taka who was fighting in towards A main, who was fighting for control on that area of the map. This time they've taken so much space with the Trailblazer, and yeah, the turret's gonna spot him, but you feel some of that pressure already.
Oh, for sure. They're gonna rotate out though. So NRG has a timing right now where they can take the site and the rotates could be really late, so that retake, if they can get it.
The thing is, they still have Victor's alarm bot there to cover the flank, so you don't have to cover it yourself. You don't have to be watching it yourself. With that in mind, Taco's still close. Crash is trying to push his way through with the flash. His own, but then a paranoia in his face delays him for just a moment. Crash is getting spiked down. NRG finding some massive kills, but Nowzer's in a great spot. I thought he was going to be able to get another, but no. And now Taco, who we were talking about at the beginning of the round with the blades, drops Victor. They know where he is. Sam is weak. Gun acquired. But he doesn't know where they are.
Good little micro play there from Finesse and Sam to take down the terror of Takalia. And even when NRG took a long time to actually hit that A side,
Yeah.
they still managed to do fine against, what was it, 3 players who ended up coming onto the site at the right time. Nowzer, though, going a little crazy. I think Mazzino really with the flash. His TP wanted to find a timing after that nade where they think that drop is clear. So they overcommitted to that. Now Taco has the op. Flash is exchanged at Mound. Taco through the broken door. You actually saw just a moment there, Shy breaking the door for him so he could get on the angle.
What's the game plan here? We've seen this out of teams a couple times where they're able to farm all 3 orbs. Right? They get the 1 mound, they can still fight for mid, and then still get the 1A.
Oh, Victor's now stopped at Mound, so they're not going for that. At least not yet. Still a minute 10. Taco. Oh, they actually broke the Trailblazer through that smoke.
Even with the paranoia in his face. Wise to it. I thought maybe the Trailblazer hadn't spotted him, but they knew where he was.
I can't believe he found the space to escape.
King dropping a molly, trying to keep them back, and succeeds for now. The door opens and closes without any aggression. Hit a second time, and now they're able to push their way forward through the smoke. Fastidious in their clearing of every corner.
Four players.
30 seconds
Fast
left.
inside of tree. 1 flash. They're trying to get out, but 2 players still here for Leviatán.
Oh, he got the collat, man!
Spike down A.
And that's as free as it gets.
You cannot be giving him that. Talk about a momentum shift. Talk about mentality difference for Taco.
10 seconds left.
I think he's at like 10-1 or 11-1 at this point. He's feeling it.
Within 4 rounds. It's a complete shift. This defensive side for Leviatán looking really strong. Again, I mentioned how they shifted already on pistols. But if they continue now the trend of gun round victories as well, which there were so many in that first game. What was the stat? 12
and 2.
to 4. What?
Is that Crashy's hand?
Spike down.
I've seen so many of those. Just like one little pixel of the other player is lined up with him. He'll take those. Remember, NRG's down a map. They're heading to, this is their map pick. One they lost at lock-in. I think one of the things is you expect Leviatán to not be as prepared. We did not see them play this map throughout what it was, 4 matches for Leviatán. Excuse me, 3 matches.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I didn't remember I was gonna agree with you no matter what. And now you're second guessing yourself.
Yeah, now I'm confused. Either way, the point is a lot of maps played, right?
Sure.
A lot of maps played, and Lotus was not one of them. So
Sure,
NRG
sure.
think, okay, we have an opportunity to maybe push them to uncomfortable territory. But I think while the offseason before lock-in, after these rosters were assembled, and for Leviatán as well, it's the same core, just Mazzino swapping in here as the smoker instead of Melzer from last year. There's been a lot of time now where Loud has gotten to the 7-map pool. I wouldn't be surprised if NRG's at a 7-map pool, if Leviatán's at a 7-map pool. So the veto advantage is really hard to come by in this day and age in this Americas League.
Taco already pushed off that early angle.
Swarm grenade out.
And it's quiet out from
Placing
NRG again.
swarm grenade out.
This time investing a little bit of utility to clear out some of the oppositions.
A lot of these early rounds on Lotus end up being quiet just because it's either an explosion of utility
Sure.
or you're waiting for the other side to throw their own. Smoke on the cross, that's the Mizzino cue for him to throw his one-way on door. A lot of cheeky omen one-ways. Not only can you find value out of, I like this one specifically when the door opens. Oh, missed nade from Artis, who's trying to sneak that in on top of Mizzino.
He was blind. They did clear out the panel early on, but it seems like NRG are going to want to split and hit B off of this.
Yeah, nobody actually here to receive, just the mollies of Shy. He gets satcheled away from Artis, actually.
He's close, and King's close by as well. Finesse getting the plant down.
Spike planted.
Succeeding now, a 5v5 as they both try to fight for B, as they try to retake the site.
Mizzino no flash to clear this as well, so they have a lot of space. Waiting for Nowzer. He stares, though. He's not actually going to fight Heaven. Shy has a lot of stuff to help.
The flash is good, but Mizzino's better. Slight numbers advantage for Leviatán. The fault line, the swing, and another kill for Leviatán. But perhaps NRG can swing this back. They're down in numbers, but they're not out of the round yet. Victor on the spam. Taco's already got it to half. NRG are going to have to push. They're going to have to push the pace, and they can't. There's just not enough space.
Both flanks dealt with so easily. Both aggression. It was Crashies there, who was still right here at Rubble, trying to flash through the Viper Wall again, taking that decay from the Viper Wall. Leviatán on these hits, consistently not losing anybody, allows utility to be so good. And I have to give mad credit to Shy. He was
Shut and lock the door.
so patient.
Yeah, he was.
And NRG was too. They waited for that fault line to try to challenge him. Here we go again. NRG's got a lot of ults this time, and they brought a few stingers into this.
Given the stingers, given the buy that they have, they're going to want to play through the chaos.
Oh, flash door. They have to actually fight in mound right now.
You should run.
This looks like it has the makings of another 5v5 for the site. Both teams trying to maintain control, vying for the round. The Rolling Thunder now used. Lockdown just innocently dissipating. Once again, you called in the previous round how successful Leviatán were at controlling the flanks, and controlling the pressure. And Taco's on one man. Finesse flashed up. Ray Charles can't see a thing. Numbers fully in favor, Leviatán. And given the ults that they had, still not able to find any success.
Double shorty.
Oh boy. That was so close. That was so close.
With the classic, they were all so low. Ridiculous. And now Leviatán is starting to really roll with this. You're not seeing the same staying power that we had from NRG in the last round because they were trading at least.
Yeah, at least
round by round. The problem here is both times in this B hit in the last 2 rounds, they've gone for the same Heaven push. And again, the patience from Leviatán is just too clean. It's rare that I see this core not have variations round to round, even slight. But there, I think they're trying to take advantage with the ults that they use, and they invested quite a lot.
Mizzino sidestepping the fault line, able to still provide some fire. Crashy's taking damage there. The opening engagement, albeit slight, in favor of Leviatán.
Cover going out.
And note, you were just mentioning in the last round they had, what, 4 ults to work with? Just Psalms now. And Crashy's just getting his.
It's the first time they're poking the C site. Yes, they've taken this orb before. Yes, they've challenged Mound, but they've never gone in.
Yeah.
Great Trailblazer gonna spot, maybe 2, hiding behind the Mound. Here comes the execute. Artist can dive here.
You got Mizzino in a really good spot. The flash is turned. You see how good The nanoswarms are delaying the hit. Now they're starting to swing through again. Tit for tat, both kills traded on either side. The flash up top as Nauser swings around. Another one dropped as the pattern continues.
2v2, that alarm bot. Oh, I think it's down.
He slipped through. Where does he go? Mind games played. Taco not spotting him. Victor landing the shots. King in this 1v2. Sam is weak. And King is not. Whoa, another epic moment, and that was almost it. But Victor cleans it up.
How did Sam turn into a turret? My man turned into a turret. That was crazy. That was such a good one, though, from Victor. Realizing the situation. Also, got to give credit to Sam, too. He was stuck after planning that spike. He was stuck in that corner. He ults off of it. And not only does that give so much misdirection, they have to be worried about the spawn flank. They have to be worried about him being behind you in mounds. He could have ulted in waterfall.
Right.
He could have canceled. There's another fake TP across this time. Normally NRG would be wanting to challenge this. But Leviatán recognizing they're not doing it every single round. And they immediately use that to their advantage. Full A control is huge.
It's really interesting here that NRG may be choosing to push back in. They want to go B again.
The great thing, though, that Sam did, he did get the information that they pushed up. So if they end up rotating back into him,
Scout destroyed.
they're not too worried. I think that's why Mazino's fallen off. But look at the economy as well. I can't believe Leviatán is broken at this point. Especially considering we're watching NRG by every round almost.
Well, I think it's been those two insanely close rounds at the end, right? Like, where Leviatán have won the round, but it's been costly. Love good levitating lockdown. But they are going to get some space. Again, they have not found success on B. Yeah, they get the spike down, but they constantly lose the fight for the retake.
Hailing over here. Initiated.
Counter lockdown used this time. Taco feeling some pressure, and there's so much utility dumped in his lap. He has to back up the lockdown, cleared the kills, going back and forth again.
Remember, Taco updraft dashed in here to create some space this time. No, it's the right click. Shorty close.
Waiting. Flash. Jump through. Oh, it hit him in the kneecaps, but it wasn't enough.
Both happen.
Player standing. One enemy
Again.
remaining.
Another thrifty round going in favor of Leviatán. They didn't have much. They didn't have much at all.
We just
Team
mentioned
A.
how surprised we were that they were even reset economically in that situation. And this team is just so dangerous. That's now 2 NRG. We've seen them at points, at least this core, in their careers struggle with eco rounds, struggle against the pistols. And we're even in a meta too where you've got the shorties combining as well. It's a dangerous recipe.
Timeout called. Leviatán with the series lead, with the map lead.
And at this point, the gun round lead is becoming ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be getting any easier for NRG anytime soon.
Yeah, and Chet definitely has to inject some life, some new ideas into Finesse for this map specifically. It's been a far cry from the amount of adapting that we saw on Pearl. But don't forget this, I mean, this could shift at any point. A similar scoreline for NRG in the lead on Pearl.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
But I do feel like something's different here. Leviatán feel way in control. Like, it's not as scrappy. I mean, sure, the eco rounds can be scrappy, but they have such a good plan. Like, every single decision they're making in terms of like how they want to approach the idea that NRG is throwing them at them in the round. Like, whatever site they hit, they're okay. Let's retake.
Let's go.
And it also helps that Taco's 12-4, while you have 2 members on the side of NRG combining for a total of 0 kills.
Who is that?
This Crashy's an artist, if I'm not mistaken. Victor's top fragging.
Oh,
We'll take a look here in just a moment. Yeah, Artist is one of them. They just haven't found a ton of success. Meanwhile, Taco continues to feel it. Leviatán across the board, dismantling NRG.
It's a cool idea out of the timeout. They're trying to go for a C pinch through B, but it's all falling apart.
One enemy.
And that is not the way you want to come out of that timeout. Not the way you want to come out with a gimmick idea. To win you around, you need a whole structural overthrow in terms of how you're approaching this side. And I know they have it in them, but this is dire. 5-round lead for Leviatán. And you might even, yeah, they finally have bought down fully with this light armor. And you might have that discussion of, oh, is it worth it? Oh, is it hurting you? I think in this game specifically, when you look at just the stat, 12-4 on Pearl in gun rounds, and it's probably massive even here. I might tell you enough.
Yeah. NRG flirting with danger there. Taco found success from that spot in the previous round. This time the shot not landing. NRG pushing forward. Artist has a showstopper too, looking for some space, looking for some frags, to be honest.
Oh, this pit, we saw it yesterday.
He's going in aggressive, but it doesn't land. Oh. And it just seems to be going from bad to worse. The rocket intended to counter the pit as Artist pushes the pace.
Look at this though. Victor, who is one of the players who's fragging right now, coming up with the flank. There's 3 players for him to find. And the pit's dropped. They dropped the pit.
1, 2, but he didn't expect the third. But they've gotten into a 2v2. Sam gets one, a 1-for-1 here. Finesse healthy. Will the Galaxy Brain be enough? Can he outthink his way through this? Yes, he can. And Rolling Thunder online.
That's huge.
Dude, given how this has gone, 7-5 for NRG. I mean, you take that.
Oh, for sure. Hey, that's a great round. That flank from Victor there. Maybe that's the adaptation that they're having. Because of how long Leviatán is taking to retake this, I'm surprised they dropped the pit, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if maybe they got forced out. There must have been something. And don't forget, King was the last alive, so it's not like he died or something. No. Breach hole, lockdown. Big swing ults.
They want to go fast.
Yeah, you're right. It was Crash. He's 0-9 for him. Artist 0-10 at this point, too.
Yeah.
Here.
Still struggling to find any sort of traction, any sort of anything to turn it into action, to turn it into space. But they have some tools here. Again, they have the lockdown. They have Finesse's Rolling Thunder.
Surprising that they're not in until this detain goes off.
Oh,
Sama's the only one to TP on, and what's the idea here?
Remember last time he did this, it was all mind games. This time cleared the paranoia, the Rolling Thunder. Mazzino looking to apply pressure from the door, and Victor decapitates him. Seekers dropped, hunting out through the smoke to find any member of Leviatán that they can.
Sam has a measure of safety there. Ooh.
Are they saving?
Yes.
They're saving. We're back to Pearl. 1 kill is all it takes.
And the crowd is lighting up. Happy to see them run and tuck tail. But you're right. Look at the money. The difference, I mean, in the economic strategy of both these teams in there hunting. Victor has been, I mean, the key in the last round, he hasn't had such success with the lurks. He's been involved in the hits. This time a chance. That wall spammable. Very spammable.
Last round in the half.
You can hear it, man. It took a while, but NRG finally giving the passionate fan base reason to chant.
A little hope. Leviatán playing so well still, though. And you have to, I mean, that one finally, maybe. Some struggles to come up with the idea and solutions to the amount of ults that NRG had, but they just used a lockdown, they just used a Killjoy ult, they just used the Seekers too. It's all gone for this final round.
Again, aggression. Oh, but Crash, he's there! Gets one. Taco on the trade. The final boss down.
And the 2 players needed to come alive. Finally get a kill tallied.
Now's with a really nice flash. But the paranoia arguably better. Now for Nez from up top, Leviatán understanding where the pressure is. Clean shots out from Nowser, man.
That's ridiculous. That's through the wall. Just guessing. And they get a headshot there. That has to be while they're back on the ramp too, so timing of the essence.
Closing moments of this first half. Assam tries to go aggressive. Artist was able to take one down, but Nowser with 3. Nowser with the defuse and Leviatán with 8.
And it has silenced the audience here. For the first time, it's not NRG trying to silence the audience.
Switching sides.
It's the opposite way. And okay, he was visible.
Just a pixel, though. I mean, a ponytail betraying him.
Great round from Nowser. And it's led to a massive first half here for Leviatán.
And remember here, it was the strength that we saw. They didn't look great at the beginning of the Pearl, but man, they've roared their way back into this thing. An 8-4 half for Leviatán. We're going to throw it down to the desk for Golden Boy to break it down.
Thank you so much, Doug and Bala. And 8-4 going into NRG's pick of Lotus. We were wondering what they were cooking. Well, so far, it's just a salad. We'll see what they end up doing. But I think on the other side, we have a pretty solid, churrascaria that's being made by Leviatán.
Dude, they are popping off right now. And it comes down to, as well, individuals, of course. I mean, we have to highlight Takalia. This guy has just been a menace. But it's partly as well, listen, you can look at the numbers and you're like, okay, he's a great player. That's like very surface level.
He's so good.
But his operating has actually been helping this team out tremendously. He's been controlling a lot of these extremities early on in the half, actually, and giving a ton of that mid-round information for King as the IGL to work off. And they had clear indicators of where NRG were landing with a lot of their hits, whether it was B or A, and you could tell how comfortable they were with those retakes.
Yeah, and that played to the game plan of Leviatán, which was those retakes. In particular, NRG initially was going for kind of these ideas towards A, trying to take that space, but that was getting shut down. So their next idea was B, and they were able to consistently get that site for free. But Leviatán was always giving up that space and so incredibly clean on these retakes. And it wasn't like they had a crazy preset plan of how they wanted to do this. It was just little coordination, triple swings being set up, the awareness in this round from Azino to stick around and kill the reflanker and to find a triple swing back into the site. It's just the fundamentals that make this Leviatán squad so incredibly good.
It's the sequel of last map, if you will.
Yeah, I just love how sacrificial as well Taco is, though, as a player, because the guy is a star player, yet he's perfectly happy to just do the percentage play. He'll just updraft dash through for these retakes, and he will, not get that much value, but he cuts up the crosshair placement every single time and allows his team to get in.
Yeah, and the thing is as well that not only is he good in those situations, but he has that consistency across the board. NRG, though, in a tough spot, but they've been good at the pistol rounds thus far. If they can grab this one, maybe there's a shot.
Yeah, they definitely can. If they're able to do so, they'll be right back into this one. But let's go ahead and send it right back over to your casters.
Leviatán in full control, not just of the map, but really of the series. And while there's been plenty to talk about for the Latin American side, a small testament to the fact that NRG, given their struggles on the scoreboard, they're still within reaching distance of this thing. GB's right, a pistol, this could be all the difference.
You got the 2 on Pearl. Leviatán, though. Stats show they should be in charge here. We do have 3 ghosts for them. It's 3 light armors here. They're going to go for a trap play. Leviatán is very well familiar with this type of idea. We saw them in the late portions of that first half do exactly that, and it's just too easy for them. There's no ideas anymore. Crash is going to try to run in, but again, desperation, similar to what we saw on Pearl.
Victor getting peppered through the smoke, trying to find some solace, and just can't.
And you ask for a pistol.
Clean slate.
You don't get it.
Whatever happens
If you're an NRG fan, that's what you were looking for.
I mean, they were just so ready. The setup was there for NRG. It looked good on paper. The execution just wasn't there.
Leviatán also has just this ability right now to get the rounds that matter so much. And to cancel the ones that matter for NRG too.
Yeah.
I remember the Thrifty on Pearl that shifted the game, where we said, okay, they might need this to win, and they just get it. Whereas NRG, when you see them try to go for those out of timeouts, for example, when it's on-demand rounds that you need, the idea is just break apart.
Here.
It's not as cohesive, for sure.
Attacking side found success C. This time they're going to try to go A. Taco dashing into the cloudburst, spotting one. But patience, the turret cleared. And seems like
Spike
NRG have been cleared
down
off the
A.
side as well.
Here, I got the spike.
They're going to rotate out. Has the panel been cleared? It has.
That's discipline. Discipline on the fast re-clear here from NRG. They're still holding. I like this.
They may have overcooked this one.
Take the duel. Oh!
They may have overcooked this one.
Remaining. Last player
Unreal.
standing.
For the gun difference to be what equalizes that.
We got this.
That was close. But we've seen bonus rounds get canceled in this very series. That was a good attempt from NRG. I honestly like that approach, Doug. To fall back, look like you're about to pivot, and then take this fight. You have the gun advantage.
You'd rather that over just funneling in through panel and get
I mean,
the spike
sure,
down.
you can go get the spike down or whatever, but you're giving
And
up
then
guns. But, like, I just prefer taking the fight straight up.
Sure.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Oh,
That one didn't work for some.
both stunned up.
Guns here for NRG. Well, 2 pistols for Leviatán and 2 kills for Leviatán.
No, the plot is starting to be missed here from NRG, losing first kills, which last time they actually had advantage on Pro. It's 13-11 for them for the first duels. This time losing 2, and Som got stunned by his own teammate there, by the way. Let's be clear about that. That was Finesse's fault line. And there's just there's a few players on this team right now that are just not hitting as hard as you want them to. I mean, I look specifically, Artis crashes. We talked about that in the first half. Finesse, sure, he's 4-11. But yeah, Artis, this is his first domestic performance as the only import in this league. The only imported player from any other region. And it cannot feel good to do this on stage.
No, and to go back to the composition conversations we were having previously, this used to be a no
30
duelist
seconds
comp
left.
for NRG. They switch over to give a little more pop into it, perhaps understanding that that's their strength, or perhaps trying to shore up a weakness. Either way, it hasn't really made much of a difference.
Careful here.
They're staying put here, Doug. I mean, while the first map might have given us a little bit of energy on this Monday morning, this map right here is draining it.
Yeah, Leviatán was also able to pick up one of the weapons. Remember, they started the round with 2 pistols. Now just 1 for Nauser.
Hawkats! Blinded.
You see them pushing the pace towards NRG, trying to get any guns out of their hands that they can.
Oh, Finesse is gonna get a free kill here. That's nice. Notice Nauser's the one who's pushing first with just the frenzy. They want to trade him out. Maybe pick up a gun for him. Doesn't matter if he dies. Does matter if Taco dies. Does matter if Shy dies. But ultimately the round for Leviatán, because of these first 2 kills. I love that this was feels like 2 minutes ago at this point, but that is why this situation unfolds the way it does. Still plenty of money for Leviatán. They put the first 3 rounds on the second half together. Talk about on-demand rounds. This one is it right here. NRG must win.
Has to be. Som with no armor. A bulldog for Victor, who I believe is still top fragging.
The adjustment there from Som too. TPing on the left, not even TPing up because he didn't want to get stunned again.
Bot coming back. Placing alarm bot.
Well, they're about to cover the flank, but the problem is they're going to be pushing right into Victor's setup.
My ultimate is ready.
That hasn't really been problematic at all. Again, another alarm bot, or another nano, excuse me, expecting and predicting where Taco's going to go.
At the Omen, who could also go in that position, but this ults into the broken door. It might not have been broken.
Cover going out.
Leviatán have gotten onto B. NRG with no ults. Crashy's close by, sure, but now it's 2 flashes.
Spike planted.
Oh, it's going to be messy. It's going to be bloody yet again. A 5v5 for the site to spam through the smoke. Taco takes a considerable amount of damage. Healed up, topped off. And where do they go from here? Are they going to try to flank him through panel? Time is of the essence here. NRG are going to have to pull the trigger very soon. You remember, you mentioned this was an on-demand round. They have to convert here, and they're down. But can they snatch it back, or can King keep them down? He can. Leviatán at 12.
Match point.
Taco and King,
Oh, look. They're desperate.
the two absolute stars on this team. In a round that, again, NRG must have gotten if they wanted a chance in this, if they wanted a chance to come back, which at this point is reaching 8 rounds. Those aren't the two players you want to be left against. Match point, Leviatán. Series point, Leviatán.
And a statement to make at the beginning of the split.
I've got your trail.
Seekers use NRG wanting to push the pace from A. Do they handle it? Yes, they do. Oh, no way, bro.
And the showstopper doesn't even connect.
I mean, if that's not a perfect summary of how the map has gone, I don't really know what is.
Leviatán marching towards their moment right now. Mazzino with a shorty. Sam with no chances here. His teammate is so far away. This is it.
Yeah, time's not on their side either, man. Big one out from Sam.
Charges.
And really, any win is a big one at this point. Sam gets another. Can he do this?
Nope.
I don't think he can. Through the nanos, through the spam. Does not matter. Once again, a statement out from Leviatán. They don't just take him down. They take him down in a sweep. 13-4 to close out Lotus.
Not even a lick of cope there as well. NRG destroyed on their own map pick. 13-11 on the first one, but you might normally be able to say 2-0, but it was close. Not here.
No.
Not here. And I will say, Leviatán, so strong. But this approach on Lotus, there was no answers. There was no answers at all on that defensive side for them. They were just so well prepared. And their protocols were clinical. Credit to Shy specifically as an individual. The patience that he has, the anchoring he was doing, phenomenal.
NRG faithful still showing some love on the other side of the defeat. And I mentioned it earlier, but Leviatán come into this against crowd favorites, against NRG, right? Like all of the history in this squad, the core that they've kept together, the imports that they brought in, and it looks so good. And for them to really leave their mark on this opening weekend the way that they have is quite frankly impressive. And to go back to the conversation we're having earlier, it's early, yeah, but they're only gonna play once.
Yeah.
And you expect, even after that, you expect both of these teams to be at the top.
Oh, for sure. Playoff-bound teams, I think that's still not a question. But this was the only chance they had against each other so far in this split. Our first real marquee intra-regional matchup. You get a chance to see it early in the season. And it's Leviatán who delivers for Americas.
And did they ever? Again, if you missed it, it was close on Pearl, and then quite frankly, it just was not on Lotus. 13-4 to close out the
And
series.
you might have missed it. If you took a break after Pro, you might have come back and be like, wait, what just happened? It was a slaughter. King continuing to be a menace. Taco continuing to be a menace. Shy as well. And talk about the difference in performance of Taco too. That guy stepped up. First 5 rounds, had 10 kills in this map. He only had 9 on Pearl overall.
I mean, he was what, 10-1 at one point, 11-1, and it just seemed like he wasn't slowing down. And you, as a player, you get into those situations where everything's just clicking. You're hitting collapse, you're hitting shots through the smoke, and you go, yeah, I mean, this is Rabs.
Match MVP on your screen, Takalia, King, Mazzino. Argument to be made for most of them. I go for King personally. Mazzino had definitely, I mean, he was playing that Harbor very well on that first map. And I think that's where you look for who really stepped up, because that was a closer game.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I think you can make a compelling argument for Taco as well, because again, he just kind of shut him down out of the gate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you get into a groove when you have a star on the other side of the stage who's just putting up the numbers that he was? It's just so difficult to deal with. Either way, you guys are the ones who have to vote, not us. Get your votes in. Let us know who you think was the MVP. We are going to throw it to a break. We'll be right back.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back to the Verizon post-match highlights. I'm standing by here with Shai, who just got done dismantling NRG from top to bottom. Mano, primero de todo, la pregunta importante. Dime el muñeco. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Quién es?
Nada, es un rinoceronte que se llama...
Muy querido.
Sí, muy querido. Que se llama Tulio y que nada, que me representa mucho porque al inicio tenía una figura chiquitita de él y ahora se transformó en un peluche y siempre ha estado conmigo desde el inicio y me lo regaló una persona muy importante.
Yeah, I know. I asked him the first question right off the bat. It was the important one, which was, tell me about this little rhino guy. Who is it? What's his name? Dime el nombre otra vez.
Tulio.
Tulio. A rhinoceros. He had it initially as a smaller toy, and it's become a plushie. He's had it with him the entire time, and it means a lot to him. Okay, ahora hablemos del partido. Le pegaron una pela. NRG. ¿Cómo, honestamente, a mí no me gusta esta pregunta, pero quiero saber cómo se siente este primer partido contra ellos y ganaron tanto.
O sea, sabemos la preparación que tenemos y no nos sorprendía el resultado. Solamente hacíamos nuestro juego y si el resultado se ponía a favor, iba a ser por nada, por todo el sacrificio, todo lo que hemos hecho y nada. Estoy como satisfecho por el resultado, pero obviamente sé que podemos dar más.
Solo satisfecho. So I asked him, given, I normally don't like this question, but given the stomp that just took place, how does he feel? And he said, honestly, he's just not surprised. They put in the preparation, they knew what they were looking for and what they wanted to do, and the word that he used was satisfied. After beating them the way that they did, he's just satisfied and he knows that they can do better. La última pregunta para ti, mano. Viendo con todo el orgullo que llega de la gente de Latinoamérica, ¿cómo se siente? ¿Qué quiere decir a la gente que está yendo, que está soportando por todos los lados?
Nada, quiero decirles que muchas gracias a todos por el apoyo, muchas gracias por siempre confiar desde un inicio y nada, solamente que esperen lo mejor y que nunca se dejen de la Levianeta.
Just cool, calm, and collected. He just says thank you so. Oh, I forgot to tell you what question I asked him. For those of you who don't know Spanish, who don't know. Oh, if he has any words to the Latin American faithful who are supporting him, who are supporting a team from all over the place, and he just says thank you. There's a lot to be proud of, and he's just so appreciative of the support, and it hopes to continue to come and expect the best out of them, and they're going to continue to do their thing. And given what we just saw, there's a lot to be excited for. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you for the rest of the split. We're going to throw it over the desk. Golden Boy, take it away.
Thank you so much, D. Dug It Fresh, for that Verizon post-match interview there. Always a pleasure to hear from the players in Leviatán as they walk away with a commanding 2-0 win, especially after that Lotus game. I think Leviatán should be all smiles, lots to be happy about for this team, Bren.
Yeah, I think so. It's a massive hurdle getting this win over NRG this early on as well in these 9-week splits, because you are taking a win against one of the best teams in the Americas still. I think, listen, that second map maybe wasn't quite showcasing it, but the first one definitely did with how close it was.
Yeah, and the game plan from Leviatán going into Lotus was really, really strong. I mean, it is not often that we see NRG get dominated in this way. Not only did they have a good plan, but again, it's just the coordination of this squad was so incredibly impressive. Even though the NRG brought out a new composition, brought in some new ideas into this one, Lev had their game plan of on our defensive side, we're going to give space, focus on our retakes, and on our attack, just having good preset executes. It's kind of simple stuff, but they just execute it so perfectly, and that's kind of why I love this team so much.
Yeah, and they forced NRG as well to be uncomfortable. You could see the early moments of that second half where they're just really scrambling for answers. They try to go for that aggressive C take, the stun misses. Here's another example of it, and they just don't really have that kind of discipline as well to expect that there's going to be that counterplay. So I'm trying to play for this common angle where you TP up top, but he gets flashed in the midst of all of it. Mizzino taking him out, and this was really just NRG left, off balance a little bit, which is very unusual. We're used to this team always being in control, I think, when it comes to good ideas, the mid-round, and always having that faith in themselves to bring back deficits in rounds and halves.
Of course.
But Leviatán, they made them look like just that second fiddle team.
It felt like NRG ran out of answers, ran out of solutions.
Which is very, very rare.
Very
it's
rare.
uncommon.
I don't want to speak for Finesse and Chet and what they would do, but just from looking at it, you could tell it was like, what do we do here? Like, Leviatán just seemed to have every freaking answer.
Yeah, and it didn't help that they were down so far at the half, but the defensive side, I mean, their read on the situation seemed to be that they wanted to go for these kind of gambits for space, either taking A or C long control at the beginning of a lot of rounds, which is generally a good idea on this map. It's just some little things on the execution slipped up, like those rounds that we were taking a look at. And at that point, it was just the amount of momentum that Leviatán had built into that one was impossible for them to break. So definitely a lot to reconsider about this Lotus map for NRG, because it's a new comp, a new idea, but it still looks like they're struggling to find the solution to this new map in the pool.
Yeah. We'll, of course, have to see what else we get from NRG. Long season ahead. I'm very excited for those guys nonetheless, despite the loss. And, of course, for Leviatán, I mean, an incredible game. And that's why before the break, we asked you guys to vote for the player of the match. And the results are in, and Tacolia is the one who walks away with it. But honestly, King knocking right on the door, and I totally get it because the Frag and IGL always steps up in the big moments when they need him.
Yeah, I mean, he had some crucial ideas, but Tacolia taking it, obviously, I think, largely because of his own performance in map number 2. Massive juxtaposition if you compare, like, that first map to this second map. And, I mean, listen, not to say that he played poorly in the first map. I think his own impact of what he could do was mitigated heavily by the comp that NRG were playing. But this time he was let loose, and he was the difference maker, I think, as well. Sacrificial in the moments where it was necessary, and he popped off as well in the moments where he needed to.
But yeah, Bren, you were talking about this at one and a half times, that he's the kind of guy who knows when to be aggressive, when to be the playmaker in himself, and when, for instance, when they were going for these retakes, to be the guy who's just drawing attention, making space, and trusting his teammates to trade him out. Leviatán have talked a lot about like how much they just trust each other as a team, how much work they've put in to just be coordinated. I think a lot of that is Owner, and a lot of that is King as well, just really building not just a team who's coordinated in the server, but actually are spending time with each other and care about each other outside outside of that.
Yeah, I recall in Copenhagen, we were in the lobby and we were all hanging out there. We were at the stupid concession stand place where we had our boxed wine, and I saw Taco and King, and I had a great conversation with them. And Taco essentially said that it was like we just really like playing with each other and we trust each other so much. And if you play like that all split long, Leviatán are going to be a scary team to stop.
And you can kind of see that in the dedication to this roster. You rewind to then at Copenhagen, and this team was one that was so incredibly scrappy, that was relying on like these crazy.
We were cheering them on. We're like, yeah, they win.
And it felt like, they were like this cool upset team. But they have totally shifted to now being, I would say, a top 2 favorite to win here at the Americas League, which is such an incredible journey for this roster.
All I'm going to say is that the day we get Loud versus Leviatán,
it's going to be a good
It's going to happen.
take me.
It's guaranteed.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Just take
hopefully
me,
we'll be
baby.
here for it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Listen.
It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. But in any case, though, guys, you know what that means? It's official. Week 1 is a wrap. That's right, folks. VCT Americas is in the books for Week 1. Let's go ahead and take a look and see where we stand right now. So, unfortunately for NRG, they will be joining their other, compadres over in the 0-1 camp. But for our Latin American teams, seem to be having honestly a whale of a time here, all picking up some big wins.
A 5-way tie for first place is mental at this point. I mean, who knows how that's going to shake out? That is insane. No, but this is going to be very intriguing to see how it actually does shake out deeper into these 9 weeks, because I'm sure we all have our expectations of which teams are going to be on top, which teams might be at the bottom, but anything can change over such a long period of time.
Oh my, this is going to be good.
Dude, the matches next week are incredible. You get NRG versus Sen, another like crazy NA clout matchup. You get Leviatán versus Furia, Brazil's second best versus LATAM's best. And I mean, starting off with Loud versus C9.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. You also have MIBR Crew, your 4th game that will be taking place. And then, of course, it's 100 Thieves versus EG. And EG's got their work cut out for them, team. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough early schedule, I think, for a team like EG as well. You're probably hoping for, maybe a couple of wins to set you straight here. But 100 Thieves are another one of those mid-table teams that I think are punching for a spot at that Masters event. They're trying to break into that top 3. That's my argument for them. And for EG, that's a tough contender to be going up against this early on.
Yeah, and to pull out wider, like Saturday's going to be insane. We get to watch both Leviatán and Loud. They're not playing against each other, but we get to watch these 2 teams that we're kind of expecting to maybe be a finals level matchup in the future and kind of continue to watch their development throughout the league.
Yeah, they're going to be in the same room. That's exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right, guys. Well, look. You want more Valorant? Don't worry, baby.
So
GB's got you covered because Valorant Game Changers NA Series 1 presented by Verizon starts tomorrow with the open qualifiers. You have Shopify Rebellion. They're certainly going to be one of the teams to look out for after finishing 2nd in the championship. Mimi, all eyes are going to be on them for sure.
Yeah, we were over in Berlin watching that championship tournament, and it was absolutely incredible. Shopify made this incredible, dream run to make it to the grand finals, to overcome Cloud9 White, the team considered the favorite to win the tournament and the best in North America. They ended up choking that one away. It was a reverse sweep. So now heading back to North America for the first Game Changers of the year, they're going to want revenge. They're going to want to prove that they can now be the best team in North America and compete internationally, especially with Cloud9 disbanding and those members now being scattered across the scene.
Yeah, well, I'm actually really glad you mentioned that one because that's exactly what happened. Version 1 ended up forming this super squad, of course, with our homie Mel. And of course, if you're watching at home, much love to you, dude. But yeah, here it is. So they announced their new lineup, a new era for Version 1 Valorant in the Game Changer scene. They managed to pick up some heavy hitters with that. Alexis and Mel back at it again, working together. And on top of that, they've managed to secure themselves, Mimi, some really dynamic talents that also led them to winning Astral Clash, which is awesome and a huge congratulations to them.
Yeah, this is the first real Game Changers tournament of the year, but we've seen some events in the off season. V1 is great not only in the Game Changer scene, but also playing in a couple open events and looking like a super strong squad. But there's been a ton of changes during the off season. There's some fantastic free agent squads. There's always a surprise in the open qualifiers. There's always a team that we don't expect it who makes it in, and yeah, it's going to be exciting.
And you'll be casting, right?
Yeah, me and Wyatt for one of the days.
All right, look at for one.
Very soon.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, that's going to do it for us. Bren, man, what a great way to kick things off, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything went, pretty smooth, I would say. It was a good week one to really set things off, and I'm really excited to see how all of this is going to be playing out even deeper as well, because that's the beauty of the regular season games. It's not like a tournament where it's like, listen, you're going to get the upsets, but it's almost this burst of play.
Yeah.
It's going to be stretched out. It's a bit of a slow burn, but you're going to get those exciting moments every single week.
Yeah, and also all the teams have a week now to prep, to look back at either what they did wrong or what they did right during this first week and have new stuff prepped for us going into the second. The development is just going to continue to get better and better throughout these matches.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say we're in the end game now, but boy, oh boy, it's going to be really good, and I can't wait. History has most definitely been made here for Valorant Esports all throughout the week, whether it was our colleagues over in Pacific crushing it, our friends over in EMEA and the Coliseum owning each and every day with their Super Week, and of course, all of us here at VCT Americas. We thank you so much for tuning in, but don't worry, because there's so much more to come. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Here's your Prime Gaming post-day highlights, and we'll see you next time. And this is it, folks. NRG facing off against Leviatán, two Titan squads here looking to do battle on this stage for you fine people back at home and in the crowd. This is going to be an awesome matchup.
He really has no other choice. He doesn't know where to go. And he may not want to go anywhere as Mizzino finds a third. And now Sam has shown up. They're trying to swing out. Sam gets another onto King. That's 3 on the round for him. He's undetected. He slipped behind enemy lines, and he's gotten it down to 1v1, but King with the third in the round. They've cleaned him up. They've dropped him. And Leviatán strike first blood. Taco's still close. The nade's not going to hit, and he's in a great spot to land 2 with the Marshall. Taco's already got it to half. NRG are going to have to push. They're going to have to push the pace, and they can't.
Gee, they're still holding. I like this.
They may have overcooked this one.
Take the duel. Oh!
They may have overcooked this one.
One enemy
Unreal. Vamos! Once again, a statement out from Leviatán. They don't just take him down. They take him down in a sweep.